Whoa, 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 whoa! Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Breakroom. This is our daily show that keeps you updated on all the nerdy news that you need to know. And coming up on the show today, we're still in the middle of brackets, baby, but it's coming to an end, finally.
Yeah, finally.
Or is it? We've saved our latest and greatest brackets for our final show of the week today. So tune in, stay tuned in, enjoy. Get ready to argue with us in the comments. Who will you be arguing with, you might ask? Well, I'm Brandon Barrick. Who cares? Down at the end of the bench, we got Jandreau.
I'm so intimidated by today's show. Done a lot of news on this show, but never had the stakes this high.
Yeah.
Nerds love arguments and competition.
It's all on the line right now. It's all about the future. And next to Coy, we got Tommy Bechtold.
Hello. Hey, Brandon.
Yeah.
What kind of haircut does a bee get?
I don't know. Tell me, what kind of haircut does a bee get?
A buzz cut.
Okay, I'm glad we waited for that one.
Hang on, let me do that one again. Hey,
again?
Brandon,
Yes.
What type of haircut does a bee get?
A buzz cut.
No. You still don't know the answer.
Oh, okay.
Rewind. Hey, Brandon.
Yeah.
What kind of haircut does a bee get?
I have no idea.
A buzz cut.
Oh, okay, I like that.
I'm Jessica Clemons.
This is Jessica Clemons.
I'm Jessica Clemons, and I'm tired of arguing about these brackets.
Well,
but I'll do it again.
Get ready to argue. And before we get into it all today, we want to remind you that tomorrow we're going to be at WonderCon, baby! Where are we going to be, Tommy?
We are going to be in room 213 AB. Tomorrow at 2:30, you're going to have Eric.
No, Erica's going to be there.
Erica.
We're going to have Erica, Tanya, Keisha. About 3 Kims. All right. Eric, Jessica, Zach, and myself will be there hosting a panel. We're hoping some surprise guests from New Rockstars might drop in. But be there or be somewhere else. Either way, you'll live in regret forever.
Yeah. We're super excited to be down at WonderCon. We hope you come out.
Yeah.
Say hi to us at the panel.
And wear your epic, your cheapers, creepers.
How dare you.
Wear your nerdriot.shop merchandise,
Yeah.
and you'll get a little chest bump from me, or a high five or something.
It's going to be a fun little live show. We'll be taking photos afterwards, all that good stuff. So
I've got some surprise. We're not allowed to give things away per the code of WonderCon, but let's just say Big Daddy breaks the rules, okay? So, show up.
Okay, so let's get into our final bracket for the week. Well, one of them today. We're gonna have the best superhero movies of all time. We're gonna get down into it as part of our March Madness. And this was like the hardest bracket we had to do.
Yes.
We had a big debate about what should go on it.
Yeah.
We thought we had 32 slots. We didn't even have that many slots. We only had 16.
This almost tore the company apart.
It caused a lot of arguing.
There was
this morning.
bleeding separately from the arguments. I just came in bleeding today.
Right.
Are there honorable mentions you want to mention? Are there any that that
Sky High for sure.
Because I feel like before we were rolling Sky High.
Yeah, John Costa was going really hard on Sky High. You know, you won't see a Thor Ragnarok on here.
I feel like the Crow's missing.
Our apologies to Spawn.
We had apologies to Spawn, apologies to Phantom,
Blade?
The Spirit.
The Spirit.
Dick Tracy.
Samuel L. Jackson and Scarlett Johansson in Nazi uniform.
1998's Blade.
I brought up Blade too, but then again, it's honorable mention because we
Technically
couldn't
a
put
vampire?
32 on here.
Yeah,
I just want to give him love up
Because he would
front.
have been on.
What was the one with Billy Zane?
I think there's
That's
a lot
the
of also
Phantom.
female.
That's the Phantom.
That is the
ones that
Phantom.
And then
were on.
Alec Baldwin was the Shadow.
The Shadow.
And then Gabriel Macht was the Spirit.
The Spirit. Yes, all middling movies. But before we get into the bracket, we have a very important question to answer. We got two movies on the bubble right now. We got to get one in, okay? Very closely related. One feeds into the other. We have Avengers Infinity War versus Avengers Endgame, okay? So between those two, we can't have them both on the bracket. They're too close. They fit each other too much. Between those two, which one do you think deserves to go in to our full bracket for best superhero movie of all time?
I go Infinity War.
I'm going Endgame.
Oh, okay. Give your quick reasons real fast.
You go first.
I think Infinity War was bolder in that it chose to have an ending that felt like profoundly dark in a franchise that is generally light. There's plenty of darkness in the MCU, but overall it does end positively, and I think the choice to have Infinity War not only be a Thanos-led movie, but also to end like Empire, to have it be up in the air, to have the moment that I'll never forget the rest of my life, the silence of those credits rolling was such a powerful moment. So not only do we have the big team up, not only do we have like a lot of risk, but it was a little bolder in my opinion, and I like time travel and I like the elements of Endgame, but it did end a little cleaner as opposed to the dusting, which is I think one of the biggest cultural touchstones of our time.
Jessica?
Am I thinking? I'm thinking of the right. Endgame was part
Endgame.
2.
Yeah.
Okay, you made it sound like it was the first one.
got dusted.
No, I think the teamwork and the cooperation was much more heavy-handed, and when I say heavy-handed, I mean in a positive way in Endgame, because we didn't get that much of a team build-up in the first movie. We get it more in the second movie, and this is the characters that we love now getting merged together. We see Rocket and Nebula having to work with the Avengers versus all of the Guardians, all of like Spider-Man's, all of this. It's like, no, let's actually pair these people that are separate universes, different movies together to actually see how they work together. And we're getting that in this movie so well that now we can expect to see it in Secret Wars played out very nicely. I also just love that ending, that assemble and they all come through the portals and jump in. This is when Iron Man dies. It's a very sad moment.
I haven't finished it.
Oh no!
It's so long. It's
This is
3
when
hours.
Iron Man dies. I think it's a very good moment, and same with Scarlett Johansson, and then his funeral, and I think it just encompasses the ending to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Phase 3.
Tommy, where are you leaning on this debate?
Well, for me, it's always going to be Endgame for the on your left moment. The chills I got in the theater. The fact that Captain America wields Thor's hammer for a second and then Thor goes, I knew it!
Yeah.
I love that part. Getting Thor to get his groove back.
Seeing his mom again was like pretty heavy.
That was a pretty nice
Pretty
moment.
heavy.
I enjoy, I only refer to him as Thor. I don't refer to him as the other thing Thor because
Thick
he's
Thor?
still just Fat Thor is the one I was thinking
Oh.
of. I refer to him as just Thor the entire time because he doesn't change the person that he is. And implying that his body type makes him a different person is strictly cruel. I will go with Avengers Endgame.
Oh, okay. These are both compelling arguments. I feel them both. I do remember those moments in Infinity War where like people started dusting at the end. And just the shrieks from people in the audience.
It was so
I was
real,
like,
it was so
that is
palpable.
true.
saying like, no!
The moment that Thor lands with Mjolnir
Right.
and like just decimates,
Right,
the moment
right.
where he says, I am Groot, I am Steve, that's Infinity War.
Cap saying we
Iron
don't.
Man's dying. Equally.
Yeah, but they want to bring him back, so it's going to negate the
No,
whole thing.
it might not.
I hope not.
They're
They better
probably
not.
gonna
Stay
bring
dead,
back
stay
Chris
dead.
Evans.
Cap
Robert
saying,
Downey
we
Stay
don't.
dead, pony boy.
Cap saying we don't trade lives, and then thousands of Wakandans die.
Yes.
was pretty heavy.
Yeah.
I feel it. I hear it all. I think Endgame should go in. They're both great. They're both incredible. But like Endgame as like a fun little like clip show of the MCU, reminding us where we've been, where we're going. Tony getting to interact with his dad, like all that stuff was just like really great.
Yeah. Michael Douglas.
So let's put Endgame
bravely
in, huh?
beating his cancer. Coming back as Hank Pym.
It's true. Okay, so let's get into it.
Audience voted for Infinity War.
Oh!
59%.
My people.
Which
Barely,
movie is better than
barely.
Dark Knight or Sky High? Sky High had a blowout.
That can't be a real poll.
We are
I
now-
refuse to.
Oh,
That's
why would
just
you
John.
show up at the bottom?
John's
John
lying.
typing.
John's lying.
We are now prepared to call Florida for Sky High. Sky High has taken the state of Florida and its 27 electoral votes.
Corey, why don't you kick us off with our first official
All right.
matchup of the tournament?
The first official matchup is a doozy.
It's a doozy.
And it doesn't involve Sky High, but involves the other contender
That's right.
that was just listed. It is two of my favorites of all time.
Okay.
The Dark Knight
Okay.
Sky High.
versus Deadpool.
Whoa!
okay,
Wow!
Which could be adjacently a PG version.
I would
of
watch
Sky-
Deadpool in the Sky High universe, and I would also watch Deadpool kill the
I
Sky High
don't know if I'd
universe.
watch
Oh my
Deadpool in the Sky
God.
High universe.
Deadpool
It'd be
kills
weird.
Sky High would be a straight-to-DVD
Yes.
masterpiece.
Just murdering the
Just
innocent.
murking those
No,
children.
no,
he goes
no,
to
no.
go to Xavier's school, but he takes the wrong turn and he goes into their school and
Oh
just,
my
oh
God.
no, who
Everybody.
are you? And he
Yeah.
thinks it's a danger room experience, but when it isn't a danger room experience, he's surrounded by the dead children and he just closes the door and pretends it never happened. Deadpool
That's
versus
dark.
Sky High.
That
Hey,
is dark.
Dashiell,
I just wrote your movie.
get Bobby Rodriguez on speed dial.
Deadpool.
Let's make this movie.
This is hard because Dark Knight is so good.
So I would
Yeah.
say The Dark Knight is the formative movie of the maturation in the mature way of superhero film.
Sure,
I would,
sure.
however, say that Deadpool is the maturation of both immaturity and maturity in superhero film. It is the first superhero movie that's R-rated to the mainstream since Blade's run, in my opinion, of like the big mainstream.
Yeah.
It's also the only superhero movie to feature pegging, which I think is very
Yeah,
important.
very sex positive. in Deadpool.
and honestly, like sex positivity in the mainstream is
pegging.
important.
Not Peggy.
I
Peggy
thought I
was
said
in-
Peggy. I was like, Peggy was
Pegging
in
soon
Captain
got
America.
married. But I think that Dark Knight is what shifted the people into like this can be for everyone, not just comic fans.
Yeah.
But then Deadpool showed us that comedy can exist with heart to balance it. This is a great matchup.
Who's more annoying at the cons, the Deadpools or the Heath Ledger?
That's another reason the pairings duel. Like, that's a really specific.
Which one's
cancels
more
it out.
annoying?
It cancels it out. Which one smells the worst? the
I feel like
the
Joker doesn't get to
Deadpools-
bathe for the style.
Yeah, no.
Right, but the Deadpools, they're in that sock all day, and
That's
they
true.
stink at the cons.
And it's also probably the most formative roles of like iconography that
Right.
we've seen the least of, because we've seen a lot of Steve, we've seen a lot of
Yeah.
But Dark Knight's just the winner, and 2 Deadpools.
Yeah.
And I feel like Ryan is exactly Deadpool, and I feel like Heath was exactly Joker.
I gotta go Dark Knight on this one. I think that's where I'm feeling.
I'm Dark Knighting all day, baby.
Deanna.
I feel like Deadpool, it's like a 9.8, and Dark Knight's a 9.9. Like they're right there.
They're
I think
very
that's
close.
why
They're
I'm
very close.
choosing
These
Dark
are all
Knight.
going to be
Your
really good
argument was
movies.
a very good argument for Deadpool, though, where I was like, yeah, that is true. They both give you different qualities and bring different audiences, especially an audience that was like, oh, there's not that much fun in superhero movies. And it's like, no, you can be funny, too. It can be quirky.
And it also elevates the medium they both do, and I think it's one of the better love stories, which it doesn't get credit
Yeah.
for. Like, remember when they advertised it as a Valentine's Day movie?
Right.
And then it was. Like, it's a real love story.
Love it. Love it.
So yeah, but Dark Knight is just like, I think the crime thriller we've always wanted to see, some solid detective work, one of the best ensemble cast, a great continuing of world plus Heath's Joker.
Yeah. You got an
You
Oscar
did.
for it.
Good
Folks.
job.
Or no, he didn't.
Really good. TDK.
Oh, that's it.
I know. Yeah, I think the Dark Knight should go through.
What'd you say?
I didn't even register it was so dark. My brain had to like find the light bulb.
Producers are scolding Brandon right now for
I'm a
his
bad-
off-color joke.
I'm a bad boy.
Meanwhile, Jessica's writing perverted messages on her bracket. What's our next
It's a
one?
real Deadpool move.
So we'll push
and
the
then-
Dark Knight through, I think.
So Dark Knight, and
Yeah.
then we got another matchup of very
But we'll say
well-clad
we're gonna
Titans.
go around. We'll come back to
Oh,
that.
okay,
We're
got
gonna
it.
go
Oh,
around.
okay.
We're gonna go around.
I thought I was living.
Well, first round of my bracket coming out. We got from the New York division, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and all the way from, I believe, also New York, then California, Los Angeles. We have Iron Man.
Well, now this was a matchup we had in the finals earlier in the week. Much contested. We went with Spider-Man in that instance. How are we feeling now? These are tough. These are both great.
I mean, I guess here's my thing: Spider-Verse,
Right.
wonderful movie,
Incredible.
great movie. I'm gonna give the advantage to a live-action film over an animated film
Right.
when it comes to this genre, simply because of how well they executed. And basically, we can say, The Dark Knight, which came out, I think, the same year or maybe the year after Iron Man, ushered in a maturity. Iron Man firmly planted the flag that these movies are here to stay, right? Like, we had kind of the Sam Raimi Spider-Verse falling apart. We had,
We'd already had like
the X-Men movies had kind of run their course, and they had canceled X-Men 4 by this point. It feels like Iron Man was Marvel Studios at that point with Paramount saying, we're going to make these movies this caliber of film. Yeah. So in the same way that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse kind of changed animation a little bit, I think Iron Man changed the way we look at live-action films and live-action superhero movies. So for me, that's why I'm going Iron Man.
I think I'm going Spider-Man
Ooh,
because
here we go.
I wish Jay was here to help me. Just when I need Jay here. But I think with Spider-Man, what I really like is that Iron Man is a great origin story, and I think that's why he won. In our last bracket it was a really good origin story.
Right, yeah.
But for a superhero movie, it was also really good. But I think that's where Spider-Man has him a little beat because it's like I think superhero movies are a lot about team ups. We know this. It's a lot about support. It's all the things you need. And this is encompassing not only friends but family and just maneuvering through life, which I don't think Iron Man, Tony Stark, really had to do as a billionaire. But I do understand that there's a lot of billionaires, superheroes. That's how a lot of the superhero games started. But I think Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is how superhero movies should be the only way it should be going forward. And not only in diversity, but just in he's a boy that just got these powers and he doesn't know how to maneuver in the world with them and no one appreciates him for it, but he has his mom, his dad, and he has his friends, and his friends are other Spideys. So I don't know. I think for superhero wise, it hits too many emotional points, too many different points in a movie than Iron Man does. But that's just me.
I like it. You did a great job without Jay.
I would say that where The Dark Knight and Deadpool were evolutionary, that both Spider-Man and Iron Man are revolutionary, and that they change versus evolve up.
Disruptors.
But I would also
shut up. Sorry.
So Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is the reason I'm wearing this shirt, because I've never thought I would argue against it, and this is the boy that's coming from the sequel, Mr. Miguel O'Hara. I'm so excited for Oscar Isaac to play one of my favorite shocking heroes. But I think perhaps Iron Man, because it builds a world that is now going 15 years strong and has launched 30-plus properties by establishing something so tangible, in that you believe that a man can walk aside you. Like, the thing that Marvel does is make you believe that heroes and gods can be your peers, whereas DC makes you feel like, what if they existed above you? How do we live around them? This is how to live beside them. And I don't know if we'd ever seen anything to quite this scale, because Spider-Man is the underdog that's masked, but you don't really know who he is. Batman, you know, he's in the darkness. Superman is the aspirational figure, whereas Iron Man, in this scale, is the first one I think we're seeing as like such a man that's it's possible of existing with us, and he's an unlikable man that becomes likable by way of adversity, which is the ultimate hero's journey. Whereas I do believe like Miles to be inherently likable, I believe Peter Parker to be inherently likable, all of them, and I see what Iron Man did is the impossible, which is make a billionaire who is a warmonger into a person that you'd want to get to know through sheer filmmaking and the charm of the cast and the ability of Jon Favreau to improvise through the script and direct in a way that feels so alive. So they're both alive, they're both revolutionary, they're both all these things, but the challenge of Iron Man and the impact of Iron Man I think is slightly bigger.
Oh, that's gross.
Interesting.
No, I think the impact of Spider-Man, that's why Spider-Man's the #1 costume for every year in Halloween, is so Spider-Man.
Well, that's the character, though. The character of Spider-Man is the #1 hero of all time.
Of all time.
I miss Iron Man's suit going weird. Click, 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 click. The noises it used to make.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
I think that's why Iron Man's got to go. No, so what are we doing here? What's the thought?
I think. Well, you're the
I think Iron Man on this one.
Phase 4, we're in. We're not in Phase 4 of Spider-Verse.
The fans have chosen
Oh, they
Spider-Verse.
chose
Hey,
Spider-Man?
just know I did.
I never
and
thought I'd
don't
argue
go to
Spider-Man.
do not come from me when I voted for Into the Spider-Verse this time.
You tried.
If it helps, I consider Iron Man a 4.5-star film and Spider-Verse a 5, but I think impact, I gotta acknowledge.
Yeah.
And I disagree hard.
What do you got? What's up next, Jessica?
So next we have Michael Keaton's Batman and Spider-Man 2. So as someone that's not seen either of these movies,
What?
Go ahead. No, I'm joking. I've seen them. As someone that has a heart. Half a heart for these two movies.
Half a heart. Wow.
Compared to everything else on this, to be fair, that's just me. I love Batman and Spider-Man, but these specific ones aren't my favorite.
Right.
But they are definitely one of the best superhero movies of all time for fans. Try to sway me. Try to sway me with your point.
Here's what I'll say about these two films. I mean, the thing I love about Tim Burton's Batman is like he had very little to go off of as in terms of like format. This was like a new way to do it. You have Prince doing the whole soundtrack, which is pretty awesome.
Okay,
you have an unhinged, like Michael Keaton, like the line, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts."
Let's get nuts.
Bruce Wayne would never say that now. Like that's like it's just so crazy. I love how they set it up the way that like the Joker was the one that killed his parents, and he's able to kill the Joker. He kills the Joker in this movie, which is nuts, and it sets him on a totally whacked path for the rest of the Batman movies in this kind of universe, which I think is wild. Spider-Man 2 is just so good. Doc Ock is a great villain. You know, it has that classic trope of Spider-Man being like, I don't want to be Spider-Man anymore, which is a problem I think a lot of superhero 2 movies have, where they're like, I don't want to be the hero anymore. And you're like, just stay being the hero already. I really like the way, you know, his relationship with Harry is tested. His relationship with Mary Jane is tested. It's not all peaches and cream, right? It's a problem. So it's a very interesting exploration of this character, and his relationship with the villain in this one is really good too, where it's like, this is a man he idolized and respected, and he knows it's not him, it's the arms controlling him, but he's trying to save the man, but he can't save him, and he ultimately dies, though he does get to save him later on in life. But from my experience, I would lean on Batman on this one. That Batman is so good, man. So many iconic moments in it, so many iconic lines.
Bob the gun. Bang!
I'm going to go, I think, the other way.
Okay.
I would say that, and this is a hot take, Internet, you're going to...
Give him the hot take.
It's going to be a long day. I
it
think that Michael Keaton as Batman and Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man are the two most successful, least accurate representations of the characters.
I agree. I hard agree with that.
The two faves are the ones that are coming back in the Legacy sequels, and they're the two least accurate, because I feel like Michael Keaton is a man who would kill the Joker, and that's not Batman. And I feel like Michael Keaton is a man who's a more Thomas Wayne than Bruce Wayne. And I also feel like the way he's portrayed in that film is allowing Tim Burton to flex his Elseworld muscles and to make the movie that needed to exist in order to get to the superhero culture. But it had to happen first. But that's not a Batman movie. That's a Tim Burton movie where Jack Nicholson plays Jack Nicholson with makeup and Michael Keaton puts on a batsuit. But like, it's a great film. It's just not Batman in the way that I interpret Batman, but that's my interpretation. Whereas Spider-Man is Tobey Maguire plays the same character in the third movie even when he has the ooze on. Spider-Man is angry in these movies. Spider-Man like makes out with Gwen Stacy in front of Mary Jane in these movies. Spider-Man breaks up her marriage in this movie. Like Spider-Man, like Tobey Maguire doesn't play the bully. He plays the angry nerd that is the Big Bang Theory of nerds, whereas Spider-Man is the Community of nerds. Community is about like not punching down, it's about like laughing at jokes with the nerds, and it's written by nerds for nerds, starring nerds, whereas Big Bang Theory was capitalizing on our people. Like it was literally profiting off a people, and they weren't in it. So I consider the Tobey Maguire take to be like, we needed that movie to exist. We needed those movies to do well. Sam Raimi knew the Silver Age Spider-Man, but the problem with Silver Age Spider-Man is he's of that time, and people always see him as a nerd because he wore like a sweater vest and glasses, but like everyone did. So when you see Spider-Man like riding a motorcycle and picking up Mary Jane, who's a model, it doesn't actually work in the way they portray it in this movie, because Spider-Man gets Black Cat, Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane, because he's a good man. When you make a good man angry in order to placate the script and an actor's take, you lose the essence of what that is. But the Spider-Man take here is more accurate in an element of authenticity to the time, where it feels like a Silver Age film. Alfred Molina feels like Doc Ock. The bond between the two of them feels correct. And it is a film based around science and a science character, even with some choices. It feels like when you're swinging with Spider-Man, as long as he's not talking, he's Spider-Man.
Beautiful, beautiful. Tommy?
Spider-Man 2.
Tommy?
Tommy
Justin?
said
Batman.
Batman?
I said Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
So what's the chat say? Break the tie. Spider-Man 2 takes it.
They're taking a big Spider-Man 2 swing on this one.
If
Plus,
it
you get
wasn't
this
for Doc
moment-
Ock, I probably wouldn't have chosen
You
it.
get this moment of the people of New York really
I do
standing
love
behind him.
He's
That's
just a
beautiful
kid.
moment.
Maskless.
He's
just
just a kid.
floating down.
He's just a kid. Is it up to me now? Okay.
He's a kid.
Well, we got another Spider-Man movie to get through,
You
folks.
got one
Hold on to your
Spider-Man
butts.
movie through things.
Going back to the MCU, we have Spider-Man No Way Home versus the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. You know,
You're out of your mind.
I love Spider-Man No Way Home. It's great. It's incredible. It really ties a nice little bow on 20 years of Spider-Man movies. And it's cute. Here's the deal. Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, that was like a stealth cruise missile into the bunker of our hearts. And no one thought that movie was going to be good. Or there were a lot of doubters. And there were a lot of people like, that was always the joke in the phase ones of the MCU, right? Like, oh, they're doing these movies, but they'll never do like Guardians of the Galaxy. That's crazy, right? It's insane. It doesn't make sense. How they can explain it? They explained it, folks. And it's great. It's got some excellent needle drops. It has a style. It has a panache. It set up the entire cosmic Marvel as we know it, for the most part. Really incredible stuff. And it's a movie that's able to introduce several characters pretty well. And you understand them, and you get them, and you understand their motivations. And you see why they come together in the end. And I'm really impressed by Guardians of the Galaxy.
You know another movie that they come together in the end?
What?
Spider-Man No Way Home.
Okay.
And oh
Okay.
my God, I did not know I had to defend this movie.
You don't have to defend it.
No,
I
no,
just think that Guardians of the Galaxy is a better superhero movie than Spider-Man No Way
I
Home.
saw Guardians of the Galaxy, I'll be honest, 2 days after it came out. I bought my tickets for Spider-Man No Way Home like 4 months before it came
Sure,
out.
But that's the
I was-
culture
I was-
changing.
But Spider-Man No Way Home was so good. It was. I'm sorry, bringing back all those villains and then going into the mental health for a lot of the villains, and also just making them like, hey, they're not villains. I'll be honest, that I love every villain in the world, so maybe that's why I love Spider-Man No Way Home so much. But the best reveal in Black Panther is Killmonger. Understandably, is justified in his actions, not justified fully, but we know why he's doing it. His motive makes
Marks
sense.
his body with
And-
a scar every time he kills a person. I understand that Killmonger's motivations are not necessarily like are justifiable. His actions are unjustifiable.
No,
he murders
that's-
innocent people.
No. But when I'm saying this, I'm saying that he's like, hey, you left all the black people in America to defend for themselves, people that
Yes.
are not within Wakanda.
No
and I
argument
think
there.
talking, like relaying that to the villains in No Way Home of being like, hey, there's more to this than meets the eye, and that's something that I really like doing. And that's something that they're doing a lot in a lot of the new Batman, is being like, hey, maybe Batman, you're the villain, and you need to talk about the actual people that are suffering right now, and the people that don't have good drinking water, the people that are dealing with being poor, the people that are really struggling on the street. So I'm like, yes, No Way Home gets into that, and I ate that up, I swallowed it, I devoured it. That is the only reason.
And I'm going to go ahead and make most of the internet hate me now, but are we not allowed to escape into these films anymore? Do I have to talk about clean drinking water in a Batman film? Like, can't Batman just kill a guy in a calendar costume and a kite man? Like, I understand we can get messaging across, and I think there are certain movies that can and should focus on it. I just don't know if that justifies why they're better movies to me. I'm with you on the messaging being important, but I think, like, diagnosing the villains all with mental health issues kind of takes away from the fact that they're villains. Then it just makes everybody kind of a sympathetic or empathetic figure, and I would rather, you know, Green Goblin throwing pumpkins that disintegrate people into skeletons be considered an act of terror and him still be considered a villain than to just be like, well, he's got schizophrenia or something like that, or he's got multiple personality disorder. I think sometimes a villain can just be a villain. That may have gotten off track of what this topic was. I think Ronan the Accuser is a man who is upset because he was born blue. And there's nothing he can do about that. So I'm going to go Guardians of the Galaxy.
He can't evolve.
This one's really hard because I consider, again, these are both like 5-star films to me, and I think that the issue for me between the two is I'm with Jessica here that the villains, if you care about both parties, the punch lands twice. So I like my villains to be as nuanced as possible. I think that's why the original Star Wars trilogy is so impactful, because you care about Vader by the time and you don't realize you have for all these reasons. And Thanos was right culture, that insanity that spawned. I think there's an element of loving the reason these people make a choice, and even if it's the wrong choice, understanding why they made the choice is more human than just like someone doing something. Gotcha. So for me, No Way Home is the villain is stronger than Ronan the Accuser, who I remember the like religious allegory and all those things, but it didn't impact me. And as much as I love that movie, I think Guardians is top 4 Marvel ever. But the villain being the split, and also the fact that it took 6 movies to give Tom Holland an origin. I think a 6-movie origin is genius. I think the fact that we got the great power, great responsibility from our Spider-Men, Andrew and Tobey, and the fact that Uncle Ben was an Aunt May moment where Aunt May got to fulfill like a destiny by playing that role so well. I just feel like the entire superhero culture led to No Way Home. I think we honestly had to get through the Sam Raimis and the Andrew Garfields and the entire Marvel Universe to get to a movie this fulfilling, plus the villains, plus the nuance, plus the directing, plus everything else that as a Spider-Man fan, I think it's hard to top No Way Home.
Ame did fulfill a destiny, and then she fulfilled a 6-foot hole in the ground, folks.
It
sounds like we're pretty tight up there. If we go to the chat, they pick Spider-Man.
I'm with Spider-Man No Way Home. That movie was awesome.
Okay, Spider-Man No Way Home. All right, guys, we got to pick it up now. We got.
I'll go shorter. I'm sorry.
I can look at the other ones without bias of mental health or race. So I will go forward.
Well, plus we've already argued, so it'll be a shorter rebuttal.
This is what we got to do, guys. We don't got to pick up the pace.
Okay.
We got to pick up our phones. Our mobile phones.
Oh, that's a good point, Tommy.
You know what? If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals in 2023, you're pulling a reverse Bechtold.
Whoa!
I'm hemorrhaging cash and smashing. Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. Trust me, okay? As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. Corey, did I say $16?
No, I don't think you did.
Jessica, did I say $17?
You did not.
Brando, did I say $15?
Yes, you did, Tommy.
I did say $15. For people looking for extra savings this month, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. 15 clams, 15 samoles. By going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. You have some savings, Jessica. Yum, yum, yum.
They're significant.
All plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network, and that's how they track us, folks. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily in minutes with eSIM. You got a pink flip phone? We'll do it with eSIM. You bedazzled your old Sprint Droid phone? Don't put it on an eSIM, okay? Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month, get the plan shipped to your door for free. Go to mintmobile.com/breakroom. That's mintmobile.com/breakroom. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/breakroom.
Okay. Corey, you want to lead us into our next matchup on the brackets?
Yeah, it's back up. Okay, yeah. I'm going to go with 2 very well-dressed superheroes. I think the best Captain America outfit and one of the best superhero outfits and scores, Wonder Woman v. Winter Soldier. I'm going to go with, personally on this one, I think that one of these films is great for all 3 acts, and one of them is exceptional for 2. I believe that the latter of which is one that I wanted to be better because I think it needed to be better, and that is not fair to it for having a higher standard that it needed to live up to. But one of these, I do believe, Winter Soldier makes the first one better by proxy. I think it elevates the entire Captain America trilogy. I think Winter Soldier is the first film that Marvel, which had been seen as kind of a propaganda machine for military, went like, what if we don't trust our governments and systems? And, you know, not to be that guy, but as I get older, the less I trust governments and systems. So it is nice to look at Winter Soldier and be like, oh, maybe cops aren't great. And the movie itself also manages to balance, like, Arnim Zola, manages to balance Red Skull, elements like the history that left behind. It opens with Batroc the Leaper, is played by MMA star George St. Pierre, and it's got, I think, the best fights because, actually, a buddy of mine, Charlie Brewster, is basically the stunt guy who did both the hallway for Daredevil and Winter Soldier. So the reason the fights are so good is because it's the ninja hallway fight, but on boats and stuff. So I feel like the fighting and everything is great. I do feel like Wonder Woman is really good for 2 acts. I love her relationship with humanity and her relationship specifically with Steve Trevor. I love the boat scene. I love everything leading up to the villain who feels like a video game character.
No, for me, Ares is dealing with the fact that he's embodying a man.
Stop.
And we must justify why Ares is likable. No, I agree.
Wait, are you making fun of me?
No, I'm kidding.
This was Wonder Woman's healthiest relationship with Steve Trevor.
His body, his choice.
I'm in.
I will only argue. I promise you guys, I'll only bring up race and gender one more time after.
You can
this.
You can't make that promise.
No,
You can't make that promise.
Well, looking at this, it's all white men except for one other property now. But yeah, Wonder Woman is probably my favorite. I think genuinely my favorite female-led superhero movie.
Oh, same.
There's only one on this list for a reason.
Well, to be fair, we haven't done a very good job of making those movies.
I think that's true. And this one did a really good job, and I genuinely want to vote for it just because that it doesn't. But yeah, that third act.
It's tough. It's tough,
So,
and I don't blame Patty Jenkins for that.
She tried.
I think that was some notes from the studio.
She did so well as the studio.
I mean, that sequence of like Wonder Woman being in World War I and
So
like
cool.
coming out of the trench,
No man's
and
land.
facing down, like that's pretty badass. And I did love, you know, World War I previously didn't get covered a lot in movies. It's now become kind of more in vogue to do World War I in
Thanks
movies.
to
But
Wonder
like
Woman.
that was dark times for the world.
I also just love Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
I think Winter
is
Soldier
so
is a
great.
contender for
Like,
number one of all, and that's why it's there.
Bucky coming in, the knife fights, all of that.
yeah,
Like,
the knife
they
fights.
kill S.H.I.E.L.D. in that movie, which is incredible.
And like the
Robert Redford coming almost out of retirement to do that movie.
The car chase scene, like how many car chase scenes
Yeah.
have we seen? And Nick Fury's car chase is somehow incredible.
Yeah.
And
there's
Chris
also like
Fitzgerald.
secret Punisher in that movie.
Yeah.
The Russos have joked because there's two
Penske.
moments when a Penske truck like drives into cops or whatever, and they're like, that was Frank Castle. They're like, we wanted to make it a Frank Castle reference. I think they're retconning it a little bit.
If they
but it's
retroactively have the
Russos
Daredevil
can do
show have a
that.
Penske truck that he drives,
yeah, we'll know it's true.
I will literally lose my shit.
Yeah,
my
but
God.
I think you're right, Coy, in the point you brought up where like we were getting into this machine and they'd done Avengers and like, okay, they did it. These are cute. They all kind of feel the same. And then this movie was like, oh, this is like a good spy movie. This is a very interesting like kind of political thriller in a lot of ways. So I would lean Captain America in this instance.
Yeah.
But I did love Wonder Woman.
I'm voting for Wonder Woman.
Good for you, Tommy. Good for you,
I guess
Tommy.
I'm just that kind of guy.
But you lost.
Oh, boy.
But you lost.
Who's next? Tommy, you want to do the next matchup?
I'd be delighted to, Brando. We got Avengers Endgame, and then we've got Dick Donner's Superman, the movie from 1978. Now, Superman, the motion picture, the movie.
Yeah.
An incredible moment in filmmaking, an incredible achievement with
Right.
Christopher Reeves really pulling off the greatest, to my opinion, to this day, example of Clark Kent being a goofy little MFer and
Yeah.
Superman being, I mean, he changed the way he stood. When he took off his glasses, he straightened his spine out. That seems so little.
Right.
It seems like such a little thing, but like no one
So
told
beautiful
him.
to see.
He just made it. He just made that decision
Yeah.
that like Clark does this, Superman does this. I mean, it's the little things you put into a performance. Avengers Endgame, we've talked to death. It's wonderful. You know, it's got many, many wonderful moments.
You got the beginning and the end here.
I think it's hard to say. It's just like the way technology has advanced, the way movie making is,
Right.
the way the movie making experience has changed.
Yeah, we should have put Superman up against like an old time.
I thought it was gonna be Superman versus Batman.
We should have put Superman
Batman.
up against like Trip to the Moon.
That's
or
the
one of those
brackets.
silent
That's
films.
the brackets. Yeah, I mean, Superman was.
Broken Blossom.
I will say Superman probably reigned supreme on this kind of list for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And all of these movies stand on the shoulders
But guess
of Superman.
what? Superman is dead. Long live the Avengers.
Yeah, I'd be hard pressed to go Superman over the Avengers.
I think there's a clean thing for me that Superman and Endgame both have a sense of wonder, and they do something revolutionary for the cinematic experience. But I think that the villain in Endgame is so much more interesting than Gene Hackman's decisions.
Right, yeah, it's true.
damn.
And if cell phones had
Sorry,
existed
Gene.
in the
God damn,
70s, we
Gene.
would have
I'm
footage of crowds going wild when Superman took off flying.
And-
because
and just-
it
and just-
blew people's minds.
And it was
because
beautiful,
looked
even still.
incredible. Yeah.
Still, but like Endgame has so much built-up nuance that it
And I think to Jessica, to your point, and to Coy kind of backing that up, the fact that we kind of not agree with Thanos, but are like, he thinks he's right. Like, he has no idea he's the villain of this story.
Right, there's no mustache twirling.
It does land twice. Yeah, I agree. So I you know what? I've evolved a little bit. I'm back with you guys
You're
now.
back.
Avengers
You're back.
Endgame for me.
Beautiful.
Which I'm writing as AE, short for American Eagle.
Beautiful
Greatest
stuff.
clothing store of the 90s.
Mine, I don't know, even needs to be argued, but I will argue for the wrong
For the sake
side.
of argument, argue it.
Black Panther versus The Incredibles.
Black Panther, move on.
Now, I want to.
I'm writing it in pen.
Go ahead. You don't have pencil.
Next to Wu-Tang.
We talked about this the
Alright,
other day. I
blood.
don't know. You were. Darwin was here. I don't know. We talked about the best villains of all time, and
Right.
I fought for Syndrome being
I
one
know,
of the best
which
villains
was
of all
insane.
time.
You and John are out of your
It
minds.
is insane, but also there is no world in which Black Panther goes under The Incredibles. I do love what they did with The Incredibles. It is a great film. Syndrome is the best villain, but
I'm a big fan of Elastigirl. You know,
All right.
Elasti-Woman.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
She's got that Pixar
Yeah.
thing.
I would have to lean
Double
Black.
cheeked up on a Tuesday.
I would have to
down.
lean Black Panther on this one. The Incredibles is the best Fantastic Four movie we've gotten so far.
So far.
But yeah, Black Panther's just so.
It's also
good.
it's so fun. I love The Incredibles. Again, great villains. Even in
Right.
the second one, I love the reveal. But Black Panther will never go below The Incredibles.
I think Incredibles is a great commentary on pop culture, whereas Black Panther is a great commentary on culture. So like it's just a
I
deeper
want
rooted
more.
experience.
Keep giving me The Incredibles.
Oh,
You-
100%.
Stop wasting 10 years of my time. and before the rest of the cast passes away, because they're getting older, you guys.
Who else
Sure.
died?
No, they didn't die yet.
Oh my
The
God.
guy from
Craig T. Nelson.
Craig T.
he's getting
Nelson's
up there. He's getting up
94,
there.
and he's...
They're all getting up there.
Hi, Craig T. Nelson.
All right, in the bottom region of our bracket here, we have Avengers versus Logan.
This is the first
versus
Avengers?
Logan. This will be the first Avengers for you folks in the UK. That's Avengers Assemble. That's
Assembly.
what they call it in that region. Because they have another program called Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
Spy shows.
The spy show.
I'll go,
Uh,
I'll go with
Avengers
the
versus
masses,
Logan.
but I think I'm leaning Logan.
You're leaning Logan. I'm leaning Logan on this one. I mean, Avengers is incredible, and like, what a feat when that was pulled off to be in theaters, to see them all fighting together. Great stuff in there. Phil Coulson dying, whether or not you believe Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff. Really good moments from everyone, but man, Logan, what a trip
So
Logan was,
good.
and like really felt like a great end to a character like that.
I got a hot take.
Give me your hot take. Give me your hot take.
I think Logan is maybe considered as good as it is because of Avengers.
Oh,
Because
okay.
We got to the point where all of our heroes were very vibrant and colorful
Right.
and a lot. And X-Men did lead the way to Logan, but I think the darkness of Logan is only as dark because it juxtaposes Avengers' brightness.
Okay.
And I would argue that the villain of Avengers being a literal god of mischief that has to unite people together and that has to bring these disparate heroes and the directing mirroring their own individual movies, their writing individually, all of those things shouldn't work. And even now, we've done 4 of them. It's a feat to have those work. Whereas Logan, which is brilliant filmmaking, James Mangold made a true Western dark
Right.
thriller. But if you look at what he's overcoming, it's almost like Jungian fighting himself. He's got a lot of like externalized trauma, but the idea of a clone that he's fighting never lands as heavy for me as the idea of these things needing to come together as a means to solve the only unsolvable problem, whereas a man fighting his history and his past is a beautiful story. Again, they're both 5-star, but I think Avengers is bolder because it was its first and by letting itself be bright and colorful than Logan being dark out of reaction.
What about for those people that watched Logan and it made them want to watch the Avengers afterwards?
I think that have a really interesting time going from like, I consider Logan a film and Avengers a great movie, and I'm
Yeah.
sorry for everyone that like the semantics of that, but there's a different experience in those
Yeah.
things.
Sure.
But there's also elements of Logan that don't actually work, like the comic book, and there's certain elements that are like, we were X-Men kind of, Xavier's in universe, out of yours, I don't know why. Like there are things that are weirdly chosen in a film
Yeah.
that is so serious. It was like 9/10 serious, but the 1/10 throws me, whereas whereas Avengers knows what it is the whole time, and like Iron Man saying like, does Mother know you weareth her drapes, brings the Branagh in a very, there's so many certain things that shouldn't work but do.
I think that's the interesting part about when we do these rankings is like we're basing it off of only Logan and the Avengers, and it's like so we can't even bring in the other X-Men properties when grading where Logan is on this map.
Well, because arguably he's not even that X-Men. Like that's what's weird about the film is it's like, are you Hugh Jackman Wolverine? That's
he's just Hugh Jackman.
That's what I'm like. The flaw for me is like,
Logan.
what are you playing? And like, whereas Avengers, they do the impossible where they feel like they played their own movies and they land it. Whereas Logan's like, hey, I'm Hugh Jackman. I'm angry.
Okay.
I thought it was weird when Logan in that movie he started singing Les Mis. I thought that was very strange.
When Russell Crowe came in and was like, come to this dark universe, Tom Cruise is here.
But
Again, both near perfect. I just had to acknowledge that one succeeds at a thing.
Acknowledgement. That's a good acknowledgement. Well, if we're to look at the chat, they're real tight on this one.
We both said Logan. You both said Endgame.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, sorry.
Chat was at Avengers 51%, Logan 48%. It's pretty close.
I won't be mad at this.
Avengers advantage.
Tommy makes the call.
Tommy, what do you think?
His wisdom. He's seeking it.
Did he fall asleep?
He's
Did he fall asleep?
Yes, yeah, no, he's taking a nap. He's taking a cat nap.
He fell asleep.
Tommy.
Logan!
Oh! Tommy going
That's
Logan?
3 Logans.
We'll go
There it
Logan
is.
on this
I'm not
one.
mad at it. The movie's incredible. I just had to say
No,
it.
you made it. You
I'll
made
say
a
it
good
once, I'll say it
fight.
again. There's boobs in Logan.
Oh,
And I
Yeah, hello.
Boots help everything.
I'll have to check that one out again. Before we
Google
move
it.
on.
They'll show you the scene isolated.
Go to Gone Girl and then go to the shower.
Oh, okay.
Trust, we have a show called The Cherry Patch where it just shows only the boob scenes.
No.
Before we move on to our Elite Eight, let's acknowledge a few super chatters right now. Mary Ellen 1015 saying, please wish me a happy 50th. You know what? Happy 50th.
Happy 50th.
Happy
Happy
50th.
50th.
God bless you.
Today's my aunt's birthday and I keep forgetting.
Okay.
Thank you for my
Is your Aunt Mary Ellen? Because
No,
you
she
can
just
say it right
turned
now.
50.
Is this the way she has to get you to reach out to her?
Christian Unpronounceable reminding everyone to like the stream. Please do like the stream. Parker asking, hey, I'm late. Why no Infinity War?
Don't
Well,
be late and you'll find out.
Yeah, you'll find out. And GSU
305
Eagle,
sharp.
Bogey's World sending in a super chat. GSU Eagle bought a Christmas tree on sale the other day, and they asked if I'm putting up myself. They said no, I'm putting it up in my living room.
I get that joke now.
Tommy's favorite joke. Tommy's favorite joke.
It's a good joke.
Okay, let's move on to this Elite Eight. Why don't you kick
Slow
us
to
off
jokes.
here?
All right, we've got
Dark
probably
Knight versus Captain America.
maybe the two most serious PG-13 superhero movies.
They were on the edge. They were on the edge.
These might be the two most similar of our pairings so far. I honestly would say Dark Knight and Winter Soldier are kind of the bar for DC and the bar for Marvel. I think Spider-Man No Way Home is a bit of an asterisk because of the Sony element, but I think that honestly the strongest MCU film for me might be Winter, and strongest for DC has been Dark Knight. I would argue that the Winter Soldier edges out Dark Knight maybe by just a smidge because John may disagree.
Wait. Keep going. Sorry, I got...
That was very exciting in there.
Yeah.
I would say Winter Soldier might edge out Dark Knight just a bit because there are elements of the Dark Knight that are trickily nuanced that aren't maybe established enough. Like the idea of surveillance and those things being just bad was like the last bit of it. Like there was a lot of lead up to like
there was a
this
sudden,
is, and then all of a
sudden
sudden,
reveal at the end that we've been listening to all your phones.
yeah, like there was a very
time.
very paranoid of the time moment that I feel like really could have been its own movie and could have been dove into. And there's also some elements of like the Dark Knight was supposed to be something that continued on, and we lost Heath, so we weren't able to. But it does feel like a bit of unfinished business, no fault of anyone's own. But there's an element of the dialogue is so perfect for Heath's Joker. There's so many moments that really land. But by the time you get to the very end, there is a moment where it's like, okay, now there's dogs, and now there's people on a boat, and now there's the surveillance stuff. And it does feel like it has to rush to an ending. And the whole movie is this beautiful slow burn, and then it has to get to an ending. And like Dark Knight, still the bar, like the movie, and maybe my favorite performance of all time in any film is Heath's Joker. But Winter Soldier, I feel like, does a better job making each act structure feel more contained, more complete. It also introduces more villains that all have a lot more to say. Arnim Zola, even as a punchline, is fun because you're like, oh, interesting adjustment of technology. Ironic, considering Dark Knight's flaw is the technology, but this is the strength.
Yeah.
But there are elements of the fights that work better in Winter Soldier. There's elements of the landing and the world building and it being more complete, whereas a lot of people argue that The Dark Knight is only Heath Ledger's Joker movie. I completely disagree. I think Christian Bale's a great Batman in it, and I think Batman does a lot. I think Michael Caine does a lot. I think Aaron Eckhart is the most slept-on actor on this whole bracket. Aaron Eckhart's Two-Face is slept on.
him.
But I would say between the two, discounting all of that aside, Winter Soldier by a
Holy
smidge.
holy cannoli. What about you, Jess? What do you like in this matchup?
You know, it's funny. I don't agree with a single thing Koi said.
Oh, okay.
I'm used
That's
to that.
hilarious.
But
That's fair.
That's
I'm
hilarious.
still going Winter Soldier.
Oh, okay.
Winter Soldier.
Okay.
I based it also. This is a loose system.
Yeah.
Every 5-year-old has it. Same 5-year-old brain. What movie could I watch over and over and over again and never get tired of?
Both of them.
It's Winter Soldier for me.
okay.
I can watch Winter Soldier over and
Okay.
over again and never get tired.
Okay.
But Dark Knight, I'd be like,
Okay.
So quotable though.
do
Dark
you
Knight's
think,
so
Tommy?
quotable.
I don't really care for comic book culture or movies.
Oh,
I think
okay.
We're all a bunch of nerds.
That's good to
Bazinga! No, Dark Knight. You're idiots. It's Dark Knight. It's obviously Dark Knight. You guys are terrible at this. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I do love Captain America, but one thing I love about the Dark Knight, the Dark Knight is that the Joker wins. The Joker wins, and
that's not. Oh,
Batman loses, right? Like he becomes,
I mean,
Because he kills Rachel.
yeah. Rachel dies. Both Rachels.
Look at my face.
If we
The
go
IMAX
to the
stuff,
chat,
too.
the chat is a little Dark Knight by
Barely.
1%.
I thought it said 50% Winter Soldier, and I was very surprised. I was
almost.
like, it should not. That's crazy.
So we'll let
Dark
the Dark
Knight?
Knight go
Yeah.
through.
I think it's too close to call. We got to get all those ballot tracks machines in here, but
I played
Any
Donkey
hanging
Kong.
chads, any hanging chads. Tommy, what do we got next up in the?
I'm really happy to announce we've got our quarterfinals here, and it's I believe it's the semifinals. It's the quarterfinals. Iron Man versus Avengers Endgame.
So Iron
Tony
Man's
Stark's
beginning.
beginning and
and
Tony
Infinity
Stark's end.
How
baby.
poetic! How poetic! I mean, when you put these two together, I would lean Endgame on this one, just because what a beautiful movie, what a great superhero movie, what a
a
great
scene.
superhero moment,
Yeah.
so many good moments.
I love you 3000.
I mean, Iron Man is a one-man story about being made of iron, building a cave with a box
Hey,
of scraps.
it's a lot harder than you think.
It's really hard. It's really hard. But I would lean Endgame on this. on
I'm
this
leaning
matchup.
Endgame as well.
I hate to have the discourse go so quickly, but I'm also leaning Endgame.
What do you think?
I lean
Dwight?
Iron Man.
You lean Iron Man on this one.
And I'll be very brief because I know we're
Sure,
out of time,
sure.
but I think Iron Man is more of a
shit, we
nuanced
did
story
just
about
do that.
becoming your own man than
Yeah.
becoming a team. I think Endgame is very important for like uniting all the Avengers. Infinity War started that journey, it finished it, but Iron Man is truly a remarkable bit of art in that you are making a movie and it's coming together like immediately. The movie was filmed in a way that was almost like improv in its script, and it doesn't feel like it, but it also feels alive because it was that. And I don't love the Ironmonger parallel to Iron Man that became a trope, but it was the first one to do it, and
Right.
it just feels so like a contained movie, whereas Avengers Endgame feels like a piece of it feels like episode 27 of a saga, whereas
Sure.
Iron Man feels like both part one and its own thing. Iron Man you can watch on its own, Endgame you can,
Yeah.
but it has a little asterisk to it. So I think Iron Man as a complete experience and a launching point versus a closing point a little stronger.
Oh, interesting. Well, Endgame wins.
That's okay.
Spider-Man 2 or Black Panther? I'm going Black Panther.
Woof.
Oh my god. Okay, we're getting into it. Okay, so
It's tough. It's tough because my
I-
instinct is almost to say Spider-Man, but like Black Panther is a
it's
great
such a good movie.
superhero
Ryan
movie.
Coogler turned that out, and I
and
will
so
never
much good
get
world
over
building
it.
in that. I
Yeah.
mean, Sam Raimi goes to New York, and you got New York, baby. But like, Ryan Coogler had to build like the whole Golden City and all of Wakanda, and their tech and like their style and everything.
And I would say, unlike Iron Man, which was one hero, he introduced like kind of 5 different heroes. Only one is the titular character, but it's
Right.
like we get M'Baku, we get Shuri.
I'm pretty comfy in Black Panther. I don't even think this is a competition.
Yeah.
I think Black Panther is a feat of pure engineering by everyone in it.
yeah.
Ruth Carter's costumes won 2 Oscars.
Oh,
Come on.
like
then
the
if we
score,
jump-
like Kendrick and Luke Göransson did.
If we jump over to the other bracket, we got. I mean, this is easy. Spider-Man: No Way Home versus Logan. And this one, I go No Way Home.
I'm going No
No Way
Way
Home.
every
No Way
day.
Home.
Yeah.
All day, every day on that one. Really flying through it now.
Yeah, we're going.
So let's figure out. We're in our final 4. Let's figure out who goes to the finals here. If we have The Dark Knight versus Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Oh my God.
That's-
I'm still going Dark Knight. I'm
Those
sorry.
are okay. In that instance, I would lead Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Hey, you guys
versus
are too
The Dark
cheerful. You know what? burn a pile of money for once and go Dark Knight with me, baby.
You know what's
He said,
funny?
"Oh,
Knight. We
wash
do
these
live in a
tights."
society. It's true.
I'm having a really
live
interesting
in a
experience where, like, I think of Winter Soldier over Dark Knight, but I think of a Dark Knight over No Way Home.
Oh,
But
okay.
I don't know how I'd like relegate
Yeah,
that.
that's fine. That's fine. That's
But
sports, baby.
In this 1-to-1, I think
you like Dark
Knight.
Knight? So to that, what do you like?
I agree with Coy.
Isn't that a
Dark
weird
Knight?
thing that I can't
Let's do
quantify
I
it?
chose it over that, but between Captain America, I was like, ooh.
My brain, and I wouldn't have thought I'd be so clean on Winter Soldier over No Way Home, but like
Yeah.
I'm feeling weird.
We'll bump the Dark Knight to the finals. Then if you go Endgame versus Black Panther,
Put it in.
I mean, I think I would lead Endgame in that
Put it
instance.
in.
Between
And you
these two
get Black
Endgame.
Panther, and you get M'Baku, and you get all of them. You get all of them
Yeah.
still. Even in a little bit of Wakanda, you get a little scene of Wakanda through the little portal.
So our finals will be the Dark Knight versus Endgame. Before we get into all that, we want to remind you to go to TurboTax and don't do your taxes. Meet with an expert who will do them for you. TurboTax experts can relieve you from the stress of taxes and file for you so you can do not taxes. Show your eyes things that are not taxes. Unpack a moving box of not taxes. Taste not taxes. Sing not taxes a lullaby. Hope not taxes. Sleep through the night. Grab a saddle and ride not taxes into the sunset. With TurboTax, an expert will do your taxes from start to finish, ensuring your taxes are done right, guaranteed, so you can relax. Doesn't it feel good to be done with your taxes? Come to TurboTax and don't do your taxes. Visit TurboTax.com to learn more. Intuit TurboTax, full service products only. Video meeting while expert does your taxes required. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. We're going to get to this final matchup, but real quick, we should do our mandatory fun. Don't you
All
think,
right,
Tommy?
let's do mandatory fun. It should be easy. This should be quick. Quickest mandatory fun in the history of man. Play the graphic, you bastard. Yeah.
Oh, good job. Good
Get
job.
him out of here. Get him out of
The
here.
dog's dying. What's
Hank's
happening?
making sauce, and now I got to rush. Okay, best superhero shows of all time. We got 4 brackets. Disney Plus, Marvel, animation, other, Arrowverse. First up top, WandaVision versus Loki. You know what? Have fun with your little homages to TV. I'm going Loki.
I'm doing WandaVision.
Ooh, I lean WandaVision.
One of these shows started and finished the same, and that's the well-written Loki, whereas one of these shows turned into a punch fest after it was about theology. And I think WandaVision is a genius show with
Right.
like Chip of Theseus metaphors, but as soon as you get punchy after a show that hasn't been punchy,
Okay.
you lose me a bit, whereas you have a Shakespearean ending introducing you
Gotcha.
to remain setting up an entire universe, and you stay in tone of the show. I think the sci-fi epic that is Loki is more itself, whereas WandaVision, I felt like studio notes came into the last act.
I am the end-all be-all of mandatory fun. Loki wins.
Let's do WandaVision for this one, because you're going to choose something else for something else.
What do you mean? What?
I would like the audience to decide. But
Fine.
keep going.
We'll let the audience decide. Vote on that while I go to the next category. Batman, the animated series, versus Invincible. Let me defend Batman for 1 minute. That show was sold entirely and got an episode order based on the opening segment, which features no dialogue and is just the Batman with that iconic score. Mm-hmm. They sold it. They sold the show on that. And the fact that Batman's entirely popular and they could make a bunch of toys.
Oh, that helped.
I mean, the Batman obviously has like a long, storied history, multiple episodes. We've had 1 season of Invincible so far, which has been pretty great. And it's really dived into some very interesting issues when thinking about like what it means to have powers, to live in a world with powered individuals, your family, what's true, what's not true, all of that. But the Batman, guys, I mean, the Batman. That opening sequence, all the characters, they invent Harley Quinn on that show.
Yes.
Who goes on to do great things. Just really solidified characters. Characters are who they are in movies now because of that show.
There's like 30 Batman adaptations, and this is still what I think of as Batman. And I
Right.
love Invincible, and I think it's like one of the best modern anything, but I think
Yeah.
Batman changed TV and film.
All right.
Batman?
Yeah.
I'm good with Batman.
Batman.
We'll wait for the results. It's still too close to calling the Loki WandaVision Battleground. I wrote Battle instead of
It's
Batman.
Loki.
No, sorry guys. Oh, my heart just breaks for Wanda. Now,
As long as there's 2 women in this bracket, I'm okay. And there are.
girl, there's so many women. I love women. Watchmen versus The Boys in the
your
other
mind.
bracket.
This
Out of
is
your mind, it's
Watchmen.
Watchmen.
This is Watchmen, the show. I mean, I love The Boys.
Oh my
The Boys
God.
is so good. It's the bravest show that's done on
I
TV
love
in a
it.
long time. They take some risks. They do some things on that show. Funny, heavy, dark, crazy, men upside penises. It's insane stuff in that show.
Yeah.
But the Watchmen show was a show where I was like, I absolutely do not want this. Why are they doing this to me? Why are they destroying my baby boy? What are they doing? What's going on? And then I watched the show and my mind was blown. I would go Watchmen all day.
Also
I
featuring a big
love the
penis
one.
gag.
Also featuring a big penis gag. It's
So if
true.
you like penises, you can't go wrong here. God knows I do, guys. I'm going Watchmen.
I think Watchmen's one of the best shows of all
Yeah.
time.
Beautiful,
It's the best.
beautiful.
It's
Apologies.
such a
to
Boys
the
is great. I love you,
We'll
Boys.
keep covering it. It's incredible, but oh my god.
I'd love to
Watchmen.
fly to Toronto and film an episode if you guys
Oh my
need
God,
Exploding
Watchmen.
Fat
I hope
Man.
they
Final
never make one of
category in the Arrowverse. the beloved Arrowverse. And guys, let's be fair, okay? Let's not judge Watchmen too harshly against the winner of this because it's going to be a blowout. We got The Flash versus the Arrowverse OG Arrow. Who here, in all honesty, has watched more than one episode of each of these shows? Great, so we can all weigh in on this.
Tommy didn't raise your hand there.
Well, no, I did. I have.
Tommy definitely has
But
watched
I'm just
it.
saying, a lot of times when
No,
I
no,
talk
I
about
know.
these shows with people, they kind of look at me and nod and smile, and they're like, I'm going to be honest with you, I never watched one
Yeah.
second of it.
I mean-
That's where I'm voicing my opinion. That I've watched more of The Flash than I watched The Arrow, and that's why I'm choosing The Flash. That is
That's
solely
fair.
the
That's a
reason.
fair opinion.
My vote goes to Arrow solely for Stephen Amell's love of the WWE.
Absolutely.
I love that Arrow was so Stephen Amell was so invested, but they made him Batman light because they had to because they didn't have Batman. Whereas the Flash feels like one of the rare optimistic heroes, and it's authentic. I got the Flash.
I'm going The Flash.
Great. Flash wins.
Flash
it's
me.
fodder for the
Flash
Watchmen,
me,
but who
baby.
cares?
Yeah, they're all fodder for the Watchmen.
Yeah.
All right, well, we don't know that yet, guys. We got to get to that.
Okay.
So we've got Loki versus Batman, the animated series.
Ooh.
This is hard for me because it's as a young boy, as a barely legal boy, Loki came out. And as a baby, the Batman came out.
Wait, how does that time work?
I am timeless. No, I don't know. I don't want to kill. I don't want to kill one of my darlings.
I'm going Loki, but that's also because I was very late to Batman. So
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, Batman's got some
just
silly stuff.
The Clayface episodes are so bonkers.
Yeah.
All the Joker, Harley Quinn stuff, all the like Harvey Dent turning into Two-Face,
Right.
and Bruce Batman trying to like basically redeem himself by redeeming Two-Face. The parallels of that are so good. But Loki is such a great show. The only show that was like, we gotta get a second season of this as soon as it went off the air, and they announced it in the closing credits of the last episode.
I think basing this off of the best superhero show versus even because I would go for Static Shock in a heartbeat because I'm nostalgic about it, but it's like which one did such a good job?
Yeah.
Not knocking Batman because it clearly did do a great job in writing and creating characters, but it's just like Loki's storytelling, and it's not fair to be like Loki also came out now, so it looks nicer, but like it's just so good.
I feel like Batman being drawn on black paper and like the understanding of how dark the character was, but making it approachable for kids and teaching kids the importance of darkness versus light and teaching kids like what it means to have trauma but be able to overcome it. Whereas I love the existential crises that is Loki, but I feel like Batman is for literally anyone, and I don't know if that Loki is.
I don't think that's true. As a little girl watching superhero shows, Batman wasn't for me because the only women I had was Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy in it, and the other characters that weren't that good as women.
Barbara Gordon, anyone? I think I'm going Loki. Sorry. And the chat's going Loki.
Loki it is? I'm not mad at
Chad
it.
goes Loki. Yeah, I would go Batman on myself, but we'll let Loki go
I'm
through
logo
this
for
one.
Loki.
Damn, you guys drew up those logos that quick?
All right, and it
God
may be what is going to be the biggest nail biter
That's
of
not
this year's
fair.
election
That's not
season.
fair.
The Watchmen has destroyed the Flash without even taking a vote.
That's
So
tough.
now
That's
we
tough.
have an interesting
Okay.
finals here, guys.
This is an interesting final because right now these are both one-season shows.
One season wonders, Loki versus Watchmen.
I'm going Watchmen. This show
I
was
I
so
would
good.
lean Watchmen
That
on this one too.
That show was so good.
I mean, you can't vote against Watchmen on this list. It's perfect.
It's
was
such
so-
a good
it's so
series.
well
I'm
done.
so
So
glad they ended it after that
good.
first
Never
one.
touch it again.
Don't touch it
I said that about the comic
Leave
though,
it.
so in 10 years you want to prove me
Yeah.
wrong, I'm there.
yeah.
But for now, don't touch it.
Yeah, don't touch it. Leave
All right,
it.
so that's
Right.
it. It's Watchmen. Shut the show down. Wait,
Wait.
wait.
I can die happy now that
got
we
our-
made Watchmen the best superhero show of all time.
We got our
We
big
did that for
finals
you,
now.
Jessica.
The best superhero movie of all time.
I need-
Is
Hey,
it the
Before
Dark
we
Knight?
give that result, one quick reminder.
Yeah.
Get your simp asses to Anaheim this weekend and see us at WonderCon. I'll be wandering the halls of the convention center. Come up and say hi. If you got a booth, for crying out loud, pull up a chair for the big guy and let him sit down and rest his weird
Yeah,
feet for
let
a
him
minute.
sit.
But most importantly, we will be at the con tomorrow doing the Breakroom live for you. All your
2:30
favorites will be there,
2:30
except
p.m.
Brandon is mysteriously not going. I think there's something going on with him personally.
I don't know.
He
I don't
needs
know.
I am pissed that he's not going to be there, but we will be there at 2:30. Check your programming schedule. Come give us a hug and a handshake, and let's bring this horse into the barn.
So you have the Dark Knight versus Avengers Endgame. Two great superhero movies. It is tough because the Endgame rests on the laurels of all the movies that come before it. If in a vacuum, it would be tough to view that movie if you didn't know anything about any of the characters. You'd be like, "What the H is going on?"
Yeah, watch everybody fight.
But it kind of is what makes it great, is because so much builds up to it, and it really, really pays off a lot of things really well, which I do appreciate about that film. And it's fun, especially when you're doing a rewatch after you sit through the doldrums of Infinity War and you feel dark inside. It's nice to plug that movie in and know all the darkest stuff is in the beginning, and then you're like, oh, this is about to get a lot of fun. About to be a lot of fun.
I feel like the end of Endgame is better than the end of Dark Knight, but I feel like the first 2 acts of Dark Knight might be better than Endgame. Because I feel like Dark Knight is so just powerful and big without having to be multiple movies.
Right.
It's just like, you turn that on and it's not just the ratio, it's not just the characters, not just the writing, it's the writing, the directing, the acting. Like, there's not a single piece of the Dark Knight that isn't so big, and it didn't need 30 characters. And I love Endgame, but Endgame does end in a way that somehow fulfills 30 years of promise, or 30 movies of promise. It somehow lands in a way that's like, hey, we said we were going to do this, and we did.
It's really
and I
great.
love that Thor is on a walkabout while Chris Evans chooses to be selfish, and Robert Downey Jr. chooses to be selfless. I love the mirroring, and I love the storytelling of what a hero is, but do you think about individual moments from Endgame as much as you think about an individual from Dark Knight? I think about moments from Dark Knight all the time in my life.
Oh, I was gonna say yeah.
Do you?
I think about the people in Endgame more than I would the Dark Knight.
I
I
think
don't
about
think about you at all. Madman quote. Madman quote.
What's wrong with you? What did I do to you?
I think
No,
about
that wasn't directed. That wasn't at you. I think you're just a narcissist because you thought that was about
it
you.
is tough.
I'm gonna go Dark Knight. I'm gonna land on Dark Knight.
You going Dark
I'm
Knight?
gonna land on Dark Knight.
Making it worse.
What do you think, Tommy?
I'm a Dark Knight boy.
Okay. What do you think, Jessica?
I'm a dark girl, but I vote for Endgame.
Oh, I might lean Endgame as well on this one, just because I do agree that like the Harvey Dent stuff's a little quick at the end, and you know some of the chase sequences aren't edited
philosophy.
well.
Ladies
Some
and
great
gentlemen,
stuff.
are you going Endgame?
I'm going Endgame.
We
What's-
have a winner, folks, because the chat has broken the tie.
Beautiful.
The best superhero movie of all time. Brandon, who is it?
Equality.
Avengers Endgame.
Oh! Ladies and gentlemen, good night and good luck.
Yes, thank you for tuning
See you
in
tomorrow.
today. We won't be live tomorrow because we'll be down at WonderCon in Anaheim. Join us at 2:30, all 813AB.
213.
213, I don't know, dude. 213 AB. We thank you for tuning in all week. We've had a lot of fun doing these, a lot of arguments in the office. We might not talk to each other anymore. Thank you all our super chatters today, including Aaliyah Fumiano and Kia Chanel, Oba1, all the great super chatters. We hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you for tuning in today. We'll join you here again next week. Check us out on Monday. Late and skaters, have a great evening. Bye, Breakers. Bye. Oh my gosh.